through fire and lace. I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Is to a throig arcade. You laid the path before me. You guided every step. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the glass a dead time it's sure? We'll build the land, our hearts within. From dawn till dusk, I work, I strive. With your blessing, I'll survive. The loom, the forge, the sword, the grain in your name, I rise again. Got Bua, got Tolan, got Trio. In you lies strength, in you lies skill. Each victory, each talent, each trial. No task too great, no skill too small. Your gifts, dear goddess, guide us all. Into force. Without your light, we have no guide, but with your hand, our place abides. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it's sore? To find it until our greatest deed. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Blessed by her grace, forever, forever.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Pax Dei, The Search for Steel, where we go down a road. That road leads us to knowledge, wisdom, and other stuff, I suppose. But tonight, we are in the second episode of Crafting Societies for Human Flourishing, bridging the ancient wisdom and modern science. I'm your host, Daniel, and it's great to have you here for episode 2. Airing today, March 15th, so I can keep track of my episodes now. My avatar, Emperor, Empire, as I like to call him, in Pax Dei, Gale. I forget what server I'm on, honestly. I just crafted these last night, and I don't waste them. So I'll put them here. And then I'll go ahead and craft some more. It's like I'm lagging. Okay. Why am I lagging? Let me find out. Well, let's Find it. And this is an odd. Okay. As you can see, I'm trying to gain experience, and crafting these things are actually pro tip. Anyway, in our very first episode, which was last night, we delved into the very nature of society. You know, what it is, why it exists, and how foundational virtues, especially humility, play a key role in shaping communities across the globe. From small villages to vast nations and even digital worlds. So if you'd like a refresher on those core ideas, please feel free to go back and listen to episode 1. Lays out all the fundamentals that I'm reading off the notes, enrich today's discussion. So today we're turning our attention to psychology behind behavior and belief. Let's think about it. Why do we cue politely? Why do we get in lines politely? Why do you sometimes go along with what everybody else says, even when you're not entirely sure? And conversely, why do some people dare to rebel against the norm? Punk, for example. In this episode, we're going to explore these questions in depth. We'll draw on insights from ancient philosophers, like we always do. Plato and Confucius are among some of them, modern psychological experts, right? And psychological experiments from Solomon Asch to and Stanley Milgram, and even examples drawn from virtual worlds like Pax Dei, like MMORPGs. I cannot talk tonight. What a grand night for a podcast. So, our journey today will cover 4 things: the foundations, how societies shape us, which includes how education, norms, and culture work to mold our behavior, whether in a close-knit village or a bustling metropolis. Number 2, conformity and deviance. Why we follow or rebel. And in that topic, we'll be exploring why we tend to conform, or in some cases, break away from the group norms. 3, belief formation and moral foundations. We're investigating the roots of our values and the way societies plant those beliefs. And of course, 4, and to top it off, I should say, crafting positive societies, inspiring the best. So I'm going to hopefully provide you with actionable strategies for designing communities that foster our highest potentials. Throughout, we'll also weave in a reoccurring theme: the role of population size. Whether we're talking about groups of 150, which is the famous Dunbar's number, or societies of millions. The number of people involved fundamentally alters how norms and beliefs are transmitted and enforced. And yes, even virtual communities in online games offer rich lessons here. So let's get started. Oh, by the way, and periodically I will be taking a sip. You might say a refreshment, if you will. That liquid I will be imbibing is called Zevia. It's a non-sponsored spot, but if you're interested, it's a sugar-free. Got a glitch here. It's a sugar-free drink, soda in particular, that offers the benefits of not having sugar, meaning there's no calories and no sugar, which means there's no insulin spike. There's no great nothing like sugar would. There's no calories, so you don't have to worry about drinking your calories for those of us who do count our calories. Or want meaningful calories ingested. So, non-sponsored spot, but it's very tasty, so every once in a while you may hear a pause. And maybe a little Coca-Cola back in the day. All right. So, let's begin with the basics. How exactly does society shape who we are? It might seem abstract, but it's very concrete in our day-to-day lives. Consider Plato's Republic. In ancient Greece, around 380 BCE, Plato envisioned a society where citizens are molded by education. He famously said something akin to, not exact quote, "Give me a child until the age of 7, and I'll show you the man." In small groups, this education was personal, stories told by elders by fireside. But in a city-state, where there could be thousands, formal schools and legal systems took over, regardless of size. No. The goal was the same, to create individuals who could contribute positively to society. And I am guessing I have no more room. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, if I have no more room, I'm probably not going to be able to fit in this cabinet, huh? This is all good stuff, so I'm going to throw it away. You gotta look around my quad as well. I go between the lesson and the game, or the conversation, I should say. It's not a lesson. The conversation and the game. Why do I do that? Because the game is focused. Well, it's part of this. Like I said, it's an MMORPG. So it's good. It's a good game. They're making improvements daily. They made bears tougher, but doesn't bode well for me. You cannot solo this game. That's why it doesn't bode well for me, because I'm not in a guild yet. I could have been, but they went to another server as well, so good bunch of people though. Let me put it down here. I know it's not the place to put it, but I'm gonna have to craft some more stuff. So we'll put it here. We'll just put it here. Okay. There we go. All right. So across the world, in ancient China, Confucius offered a complementary perspective. He believed that society's foundation lies in personal relationships. He stated, and I quote, "If personal conduct is correct, government is effective without issuing orders." In a small community, say within Dunbar's ideal 150 people, this means your behavior is directly observed by everyone. In a larger society, rituals and traditions must be established to instill these values on a greater scale. Fast forward to the 18th century. When Rousseau introduced the idea of social contract, he argued that society is a mutual agreement where we exchange freedoms for collective benefits. In a small band, this is simple. Like a simple handshake of trust or something. And like I said, every once in a while I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put stuff. So I will be removing my eyes from my notes. But so far, I think everybody is with me on the facts of the case, right? And what are the facts that we're bringing up right now? In huge societies, we're not, we need other mechanisms in order to do certain things. Right? I'm trying to think what I need to take. I don't need any of these. I'll get these. I'll take that. Just so I can I'm gonna go get some trees. Let me see if I have any of these left. Yeah, let me grab these while I'm at it. Put these away. So in a modern nation, though, right? A handshake in smaller groups, but in a nation, what do you have? Well, you have a written constitution, a complex system of laws and rights designed to ensure fairness and collective well-being. From these early ideas, we see a pattern, right? I think I... There we go. In small societies shape us by transmitting norms through education, relationships, and institutions. Right? In smaller groups, these influences are personal and direct. In larger ones, they are mediated by formal structures. In the event, even in virtual environments like MMORPGs, guild rules and game lore guide behavior, and in surprisingly similar ways to what we've been discussing so far. And I just saw something I need to verify. Okay. I was hoping nobody put a freaking plot right next to me. There's a lot more players nowadays, and I really need to interact with them, but I cannot. Why cannot I not? Because I am talking on a podcast. And that's okay. That's all right. I just need to play a little bit. That's all. Outside of the podcast. And the reason I need trees is because I need coal. And the reason I need coal is because I need to go get some more glass for my alchemy. Because I'm behind on my alchemy. I am trying to play solo, but it's not working out well now that they've changed a few things, and that's okay. This is an easy one. And there we go. Always skin. Pro tip. Care about anything else, actually. I want to try the new feature here. He said, if you're going to cut down a tree, it'll use the best weapon or best thing you have in your inventory for the tree. And it did. I had 2 axes, and it chose the axe I wanted it to. It won't affect me if I get hit by the tree for anybody new to the game. But I still like to play like it will, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So where was I? So population size does play a big role here. In a community of around 150, every action is seen and remembered. In a city of 1 million, though, individual actions might be lost in the crowd unless formal mechanisms like laws, media campaigns are in place. And I think all of us can definitely relate to that today, right? There we go. All right. Looking at my notes. All right, so studies by Robert Axelrod on the evolution of cooperation highlight that small groups tend to enforce norms more effectively through direct peer pressure, whereas larger groups require external systems to maintain order. Ultimately, though, what we take away is society molds us through a complex mix of personal influence and systematic systems, right? Our systematic structures. This used to be inaccessible to me because somebody used to live here. They probably still do, but they haven't been back. Wow, that was weird. Okay. Really? That was where I was aiming, so I mean, I'm not too shocked at it. All right, so now that we've looked at how society shapes us, let's address the fundamental question. Why do we tend to follow the crowd? And what makes us rebel? Well, Plato believed that conformity was necessary for order. In the Republic, he argued that a well-ordered society depends on citizens following the rules. In a small group of 50, personal accountability is high. If you deviate, everyone notices and responds immediately. But in a large society, where individual actions may go unseen, conformity can be enforced through more impersonal means like laws or media. Enter Nietzsche, who challenged this notion in the 19th century. Nietzsche saw conformity as the tyrant of the herd, or tyranny of the herd. In his view, true greatness sometimes requires breaking free of societal expectations. In a small group, a deviant might be shunned quickly. In a vast society, that same person could spark a revolution or be suppressed by an overwhelming force of conformity. So modern psychology provides some fascinating insights here. So Solomon Asch's classic conformity experiments of the 1950s reveal that when we're placed in a group, up to 75% of the people might go along with an obviously wrong answer just to fit in. Imagine a scenario in a classroom of 10 versus a large lecture hall of 100. Social pressure operates differently, yet the need to belong is universal. There was another social experiment. I don't have it in front of me. Look it up, but I can't remember who ran it. But it was a social experiment in, I think it was New York City. And they faced everybody in, these were actors or participants in the study that were on the researcher side. And they filled an elevator with these people, and they all faced the back of the elevator. What they wanted to see is the new person, which usually they calculated where only one person could fit extra in the elevator. But the way it's the way they fashioned the experiment. But anyway, in more words than what I need to say is, they found that a good percentage of the people that entered the elevator would face the back of the elevator. Very few people, I mean a minority of people, would actually face the front, against the wisdom of the crowd, if you will. So interesting stuff, and that's a small sample, right? Maybe 20 people in an elevator. So there's a Stanley Milgram. Then there's Stanley Milgram's obedience studies from the 1960s. His work showed that a significant number of people were willing to administer what they believed were dangerous shocks to others simply because an authority figure told them to. In small groups, you might feel personal responsibility. In large organizations, that responsibility diffuses, making it easier for you to follow orders even if they conflict with your moral compass. It was a very interesting study. I highly recommend going out, finding Milgram's study. Eye-opening. Just absolutely eye-opening for us free thinkers. And if you're joining this channel, you're either a free thinker or you want to be a free thinker. There's your two choices if you're in this channel. Because you want to know what the ancients knew, and you want to know what the experimentation is showing us, right? Follow the science, don't they say that? Isn't that what it's saying? So population size, again, plays a role here. In intimate groups, around 150 people, I'm looking at the note, as Dunbar suggests, the pressure to conform is intense because your actions are immediately visible, right? So there's no real argument, I think, from any one of us here, right? In massive societies, individuals may feel less personal responsibility, which can lead to both greater conformity under impersonal authority and, paradoxically, pockets of rebellion where people feel they can hide their dissent. So why do we follow or rebel? Well, it's a dance, right? They really fixed the graphics on this. It's really cool. And they are on 5.4, by the way. Real Engine 5.4. So, little game. Alright. So, the social norms of your immediate circle, your family, your close friends, push you toward conformity, right? But as you step into larger arenas, school, work, society at large, the mechanisms that the mechanisms of control change. They shift from personal accountability to institutional enforcement. And sometimes, when those institutions fail or become oppressive, rebellion becomes the only way to reclaim personal agency. Interesting. I find it interesting. When I was researching this topic, I was like, this is interesting, because if you look at, and I guarantee that everybody out there is shaking their head like, yeah, I can totally relate to what is being said, because we see it every day in social media, in the United States for sure, right? It's an interesting aspect to the discussion we're having tonight, because we can immediately see what's going on. Huh, interesting. Did they put that in the same? Yeah, they did. Okay. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. There we go. Let's go forage for some more. Oh, I didn't notice that. I need to get rid of that coal. What I'm doing is I'm a little game. Let's shift to the game. I'm maximizing my inventory, since right now they don't give you a the developers don't give you a good way of well, they don't give you any way of increasing the carrying ability that you have. All right, the durability's fine on this. Let's go. All right. And stamina is always a thing, even when you're not fighting or combat. There we go. Okay. So consider virtual societies too in MMORPGs, right? For example, guilds enforce certain rules for raids or cooperative play. If you deviate, you might be kicked out of the group. So if you think about what I just said, it's expulsion, right? From the guild. What's another way of saying expulsion? It's yeah. Let me think about that. There's another term that actually rings true as well, and it's just as valid. Let me think about it. Anyway, but in a large anonymous server, the same behavior might go unnoticed, or even inspire counterculture among players. We're gonna do this because of this, right? This reason. I can't really think of a good one for counterculture because in like World of Warcraft, if you want to be evil, you play, or they say evil, right? It's pretty subjective. They say you should play the Horde, right? What's a good counterculture? Well, a good one is actually kind of like a enlightenment. In EVE Online, I play that as well. EVE Online, you have corporations, and some corporations are so sick of piracy because the game is piracy is fairly easy in that game, meaning the temptation to perform piracy. So you have corporations of people banding together that fight against piracy, which is amazing. It's a counterculture in the game. Piracy, I think, would be the primary path for a lot of people. So I totally missed that. There we go. So in summary, whether small groups or large societies, the dynamics of conformity and deviance are deeply influenced by the size and structure of our community. The more personal the connection, the stronger the conformity. The larger the group, the more likely you are to see both blind obedience and daring acts of rebellion. This is a timely conversation, but as always, I'm going to let you, the listener, put two and two together. All right. They sometimes call this the medieval chore simulator. If you're going to solo this game, you're going to have a lot of chores. Anyway, having examined behavior, now let's turn to belief. Where do our values come from? How do societies plant seeds of what we hold true about right and wrong? Well, Confucius believed that morality is rooted in tradition. In his view, the family is the first school of virtue. Makes sense? In a small house of 5 or 150 people, elders pass down stories and customs that shape your understanding of duty, respect, and honor. These personal narratives create a moral compass that guides you throughout your life. When scaled up to an entire nation, these teachings become part of a shared culture, celebrated through festivals, rituals, and even national education programs or national holidays, right? So John Rawls, a modern philosopher, argued that justice should be fair and designed behind a veil of ignorance, where no one knows their place in society. The idea emphasizes that moral beliefs should not favor any one particular group and must be structured to benefit everyone. In a small group, fairness might be simple, a simple discussion among neighbors, right? In a large society, it becomes a complex system of laws and institutions that aim to ensure equal opportunity for all. So, Jonathan Haidt's, or Haidt's moral foundation theory gives us a modern framework for understanding. Of how our beliefs form, right? Let me get that thought out as I'm trancing around the trees trying to hit them. See, I wouldn't be good at combat and actually running a podcast. That would be horrible. I can't even hit a tree and it's not moving and it has no defenses. Okay, so he identifies several core pillars: care, fairness, loyalty, authority, sanctity, and liberty. In a tight-knit community of around 150, and we're just using that because it's Dunbar's number, right? Loyalty and care are paramount because everyone is intimately connected. In contrast, in a large, diverse society, fairness and liberty often take center stage as the basis for a broader, more inclusive ethics, right? Because there's more people, right? Education is the primary vehicle for belief transmission in those larger societies. In small groups, oral storytelling and direct mentorship can instill values effectively. In larger societies, more formal education systems like schools, textbooks, national curricula play a role. For example, Bhutan's Bhutan, Bhutan's Gross National Happiness Initiative integrates moral and ethical education into public schools, aiming to foster a sense of collective well-being among 5 million citizens. Well, social media too has become a powerful tool of belief formation. It creates virtual echo chambers where ideas can spread rapidly, sometimes reinforcing positive values, but also sometimes deepening polarization. Studies have shown that while social media can increase perceived social capital by up to 25%, it also leads. I didn't hear it. There we go. It also can lead to 15% rise in ideological polarization if left unmonitored. I would say unchallenged is a better word. Right? I choose unmoderated because of the link to social media. But let's say it's unchallenged by authority, moderation. So moderator's authority within social media. Let me know what you think about that. Anyway, whether your beliefs are passed down through family stories or taught in schools or influenced by online interactions, there are roots of your behavior. And those roots are nurtured differently depending on the size of the society. In small groups, beliefs are personal and deeply interwoven with everyday interactions. In a large society, they must be reinforced through the broader cultural symbols and institutional practices. The key takeaway here is that beliefs are not static. They're continually shaped and reshaped by the environment around us, from intimate circles to nationwide narratives. Understanding this process is essential for crafting a society that inspires us, or the best in us, I should say. Let me take a sip while I'm chopping this oat down. Figured it would get full because I have 2 of these beehives, and I don't need beehives right now. Need hardwood and sap. There we go. Knowing that I won't get all of the sapwood, I will go to another hardwood tree and see if it tells me. Nah, it doesn't. I was wondering if it told me that it's hardwood. I wonder if that's hardwood. Sapwood. Okay. So, pro tip, even though you didn't get it, you want to check your... What they don't do is they don't stack automatically, so once it's on the ground, you want to go into your inventory and you want to stack the quantity that you need. I wonder if that guy's coming back. Interesting. Yeah, they built right behind me. And they didn't build. They were building really quick. Oh, another pro tip. Since I am full when I skin this, I won't need to worry about it. Meaning I won't need to worry about dropping stuff because I'm thinking. All right, got the home fires cooking. What's going on? There's the hardwood. I could put the other charcoal in here, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all this hardwood here. And get rid of that. Hardwood. Kind of exchange here. There we go. Let's see if I have any more hardwood. Oh, that is home row. Nope. So what I'll end up probably doing is I'll probably get as much hardwood in there as possible. Put normal coal in there, but I'm not really feeling it. What I'll end up doing is going over here. Okay, there's some more hardwood. Right? Take advantage of them. I'll just put all this stuff in there. And while I'm here, again, it's about efficiency. It really is. This game is about efficiency. Clutching is one of the hardest skills to mostly because you have to not a lot of trees. Resin is very hard to find. And what I should do is just go after hardwood. And that's what I'll do. I'll drop all sapwood and just go after hardwood. I can map over the forests. Okay. So now that we've explored how society shapes our behavior and beliefs, let's turn to the challenge of designing societies that do more than just maintain. They inspire excellence, creativity, and ethical living. How can we create communities that not only enforce norms, but encourage each of us to bring out our best selves? Well, let's begin with Jean-Jacques Rousseau's idea of the social contract. So Rousseau believed that society is a mutual agreement where we give up some freedoms in exchange for collective benefits. In a small group, that's a personal promise. In a nation, it becomes more of a set of laws and policies designed to ensure that everyone is treated fairly. The goal is to inspire trust and a sense of belonging so that the individuals feel invested in community success. John Rawls adds another layer to this notion of justice and fairness. According to Rawls, a society that ensures fairness is one where everyone, regardless of their background, has equal opportunity. In smaller communities, this might mean sharing resources or decision making through consensus. In larger societies, it means creating transparent policies and institutions that citizens trust. And I want to highlight and underline that last word, trust. A study published in the Harvard Business Review in 2021 noted that workplaces with transparent, fair policies experienced up to a 20% boost in morale and, more important, productivity. For the business, it's more important. For everybody else, the morale is the actually important part, right? Where am I going? I know what I'm going to do. A lot of people are building in what used to be open lands. And these are my compass direction. My compass, it's up there. Yeah. All right. So positive conformity is another tool. So what do we mean by that? Well, research by Solomon Asch suggests that when people see good behavior being rewarded, they are more likely to emulate it. For example, in a small school, a teacher's public praise for a student's act of kindness can ripple through the class, right? And I think we've all been there. Oh, okay. In a fight here? Am I fighting? Fighting. Give me a second. Start our conversation. Wow, I got lucky. Normally that one doesn't hit multiple targets at the end, but it did this time, and I'm okay with that. Is that another change? Don't know. I'll take it. All right, so we were on positive conformity, right? In larger organizations, formal awards or recognition programs have a similar effect. Like Toyota's Kaizen philosophy is a great example. It rewards every employee for identifying areas of improvement, fostering a culture of continuous, humble growth across teams of 50 or even 50,000. Now, one thing I do want to mention is Kaizen is just more. It's more than just I'm using it in the reward fashion, but it's a whole lean philosophy. We can get into different tools for the workplace if you'd like. Just put a mention in the chat or comment in the chat. I'll see about crafting a specific episode for those type of tools. I am an expert at that. I could say that without flinching. So critical thinking is essential too. Is essential. God. Yeah, I say it is essential too, but it's essential. Hands down. Full stop. So Daniel Kahneman's work reminds us that our biases can trap us in narrow ways of thinking. Education that emphasizes debate, inquiry, and reflection can help break these chains. In smaller classes, this might be achieved through lively discussion groups. In larger institutions, through a carefully designed curriculum that challenges assumptions. Then there's the matter of harmony. Jonathan Haidt? Maybe it's Haidt. I'm so bad with names. I am so sorry. Research shows that a balanced moral foundation where care, fairness, and loyalty all have their place can keep societies united. In small communities, regular rituals and shared practices can reinforce this balance. In larger societies, I'm looking for a tree now. Can I go through all the looking for hardwoods, so looking for these darker trees, the oak trees. That's kind of thing. We should say it. It's like I'm going down to this cheaper. That's okay. All right, so where was I? In larger societies, policy and public institutions must work to create and maintain these shared values. Bhutan's gross national happiness policy is one principal example. It's a national effort to measure success not by wealth, but by well-being, inspiring policies that encourage compassion and collective care. Finally, let's consider virtual societies. Many MMORPGs have built-in systems that reward teamwork and discourage selfishness. For example, many guilds have their own codes of conduct where the teamwork and humility are rewarded with in-game points or titles. These digital experiments offer valuable lessons and show us that even competitive, anonymous environments, positive behavior can be encouraged through well-designed systems. And just to put a finer point on that, we are, I should say, to put a Pax Dei point on that, there is no way you can get through this game alone. You have to join a guild. You have to have friends. Let's just say it in those terms, right? And what do I mean by friends? I mean people, you don't have to be in a guild, so to speak, but you have to have friends that will be there for you when you need to go on a raid, when you need to get a certain component, right? It's interesting. The X was appointed. X is the key to take out things, to just drop something. So here's some actionable steps for crafting positive societies. And, right? Maybe, right? Consider. For small communities, organize weekly reflection circles where members share lessons learned from their experiences, reinforcing collective values. You might even call these stand-ups. No, I'm kidding. It's an agile joke. No, do stand-ups. But also, don't organize weekly reflection circles. Don't call them reflections. Most people will be like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, let's talk. Just talk to people. Just reinforcing those shared lessons, right? And from their experiences. Like, hey, remember when this good thing happened? For larger societies, implement transparent policies that reward teamwork and fairness, such as public recognition programs or ethical certifications for companies. Now, I've been in many companies that have produced um, quarterly recognition, meaning depending on the recognition, they had different categories, and they would recognize people who have achieved certain things within those categories. It's an awesome way to do it. Some people think it's cheesy. Choose your categories wisely, right? Ultimately, that's the going to be your measure for a good program, recognition program. For virtual communities, we want to develop systems like I came up with yesterday, the humility-driven virtue system, or the HDVS, that assign virtual points in a game for actions that benefit a group rather than just personal achievement. And you can code those in, right? You don't have to guess. These strategies aren't just theoretical. They've been proven to work in contexts ranging from Bhutan's national policies to India's, I'm going to butcher this one, Dabawala system. Dabawala system. I actually like saying that. I wonder if I'm saying it. It's pretty cool. Where trust and cooperation drive one of the most reliable delivery systems in the world. Whether you're in a small group or a nation, the goal remains the same. Inspire each individual to contribute their best to the collective good. It's funny how you can drop while you're doing something. I'm okay with that. Okay. All right. So this might be an earlier episode because I tried to cut these into 4 or 5 episodes because there's a lot of information going over, right? And we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. Just in this episode, we set out to understand how societies shape our behavior and beliefs. We examined how our actions are molded by norms, education, and culture. And from the intimate circle of 150 to the sprawling expanse of a nation, or even on an online community, we've explored why we conform or rebel, and where am I? We looked at the psychological pressures at work and some of the ways our beliefs are planted and nurtured over time. And finally, we delved into how we can craft societies that don't just maintain order, but actively inspire the best in us. So from Plato's vision of education and Confucius's, did I take damage? No. And from Confucius's emphasis on personal relationships to modern experiments by Asch and Milgram, we've seen whether you're part of a small village or a massive city, the forces that shape you are remarkably similar. Only the scale changes, right? Population size alters the dynamics. In small groups, personal ties and direct accountability reign. In large societies, formal institutions, cultural rituals, and even digital systems step up to maintain trust and cooperation. All right, let me look around for a tree here. That's an oak. Oak. Remember that many of these ideas build on what we explored in episode 1. So if you ever feel the need to revisit the basics of society's purpose or the power of humility, I encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. It provides a solid foundation for everything we've discussed. And by the way, it's episode 115 by the the other metric that I put in the YouTube description. Yeah. Okay, I cannot drop out of that anymore. That's interesting. Okay. It's all right. I'm just here for art. Okay. So each one of us plays a role in crafting the society we live in. Give me a second. It's not just about following the rules. That's probably one of the furthest things that we're saying tonight. It's about actively questioning norms, celebrating virtues like humility and empathy, and pushing for systems that uplift everyone. Whether you're interacting with a neighbor or engaging in a global online forum, your actions matter. So before we wrap it up, here's your your action call for the week. So if you choose, I'd like you to reflect on this question. Think about one of the norm you've always followed without question. Then ask yourself, why do I do it this way? Simple question, right? Why do I do this? Why do I do it this way? Very simple. Many of us we don't ask that question of ourselves. Now, here's a reward. Notice and publicly acknowledge an act of kindness or humility in your community, be it at work, in your family, or online. And it doesn't have to be a public acknowledgement. It could be a behind the scenes acknowledgement to the person who is who you're talking, right? Or giving the compliment to. See if I can do this. Yeah, I figured as much. I might as well get the deer. I probably don't need any of this. I'm looking for art. All I care about. Okay. Okay, that was interesting. Usually you stop. There you go. Okay. So, here's something to engage with. Participate in a discussion or forum where diverse views are shared, and practice listening without judgment. So active listening. We went over it a lot of times in this series. Well, not in this series, but in other series and other podcasts. I invite you to my X chat. Let's start up a conversation. Be respectful, listen, and we can go back and forth with ideas, right? How ideas are grown, are manifested, if you will. So, let's see. Next time on, which is, I think, tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, but definitely Monday. We'll move further into the heart of the community by exploring compassionate communities. How empathy, altruism, and the social fabric can unite us even in a complex world. Didn't realize I had that much crap. Yep. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me today. It's going to be a short one. It's been a privilege to explore these ideas with you, and I hope you walk away with a new perspective on how your environment shapes you and how you can in turn shape your environment. And hopefully for the better, right? Now, until next time, keep questioning, keep engaging, and remember, every small act of humility and kindness contributes to crafting a society where all of us can truly flourish. Until next time.
With every step, a lesson learned. From fire's heat to the fields I've turned. The blade and bow, the forge and flame. I sharpen my skills, I play the game. Each day brings a challenge I must face. I train my hands with careful grace. From alchemy's art to the hunter's way, I'll find the strength to seize the day. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. From the herbs I find to the iron I mold, each lesson learned is a story told. The stars above, they guide my hand. As I hold my craft, I take my stand. In the quiet woods, in the mountains chill, I push myself, I shape my will. With each new tool and every lore, I'm stronger now than I was before. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. The road is long, but I won't turn back. The lessons I learned keep me on track. With each new skill, the stronger I grow. In the face of the storm, I let my courage show. I've tasted defeat, I felt the sting, but I rise again with each new spring. For knowledge is power, and wisdom the key. I'm forging my path, I'm breaking free. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight.